Forgive me. Brian Laundrie suicide note shared on TikTok by sick trolls as cause of death still unknown after Gabby Petito murder. 6 trolls have shared a fake suicide note from Brian Laundrie to his parents as his cause of death remains a mystery. The note is dated September 18, 2021 and addressed to Mom and Dad. A backpack and notebook belonging to Laundrie were found by police near human remains at Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park, near the Calton Reserve earlier this week. The skeletal remains were later confirmed to be the 23-year-old. Evil trolls have now shared a fake suicide note from his notebook. The letter, shared on TikTok and YouTube, reads, "I just wanted to say that I'm sorry for everything that has happened. I never intended for any of this. Gabby and I were truly in love and I would give anything for her to still be here. I know that no one will understand that things simply got out of control. The strain of our relationship was more than I could bear. I should have known to stay home after what happened. Everything was already a disaster at that point, but something made me return. Once Gabby was gone forever, I realized that I was too." The note said Laundrie wanted to tell his parents the truth, but couldn't bring myself to. The letter continues, "Please forgive me for all that has happened and everything I have put everyone through. I was too ashamed to tell Gabby's family what happened to her. I was too ashamed to tell anyone. I hope someday people can understand what really happened. Until we meet again someday, I love you forever." The fake note was signed off with a B. Can't be real. Social media users have slammed trolls for finding humor in other people's grief. One said, "The notebook hasn't been processed yet, let alone released. They're still trying to salvage it." Another wrote, "If this is really his notebook and it was wet, how are pages and words visible to read?" A third said, "This can't be real, sorry." Laundrie was reported missing by his parents on September 17, 4 days after he went hiking in the Calton Reserve and failed to return home, and 2 days before his fiancée Gabby Petito was found murdered in Wyoming. He was reportedly very upset when he left his parents' Northport home for the final time on September 13. Laundrie's remains and the articles belonging to Laundrie were found in a stretch of land inside the 24,000-acre park that until recently had been submerged in floodwaters. His cause of death has not been determined, but experts have said the skeletal state of his body may mean such a determination might never be made. It comes as a former homicide detective said the search for Laundrie was a police sh***, though, and the fugitive's dad should have never been left alone in the moments before he suspiciously found crucial evidence. Tom Joyce, a retired lieutenant commander with the NYPD, said he found it so disturbing that Chris Laundrie recovered a bag belonging to his son out of view from investigators during the search. The miraculous discovery, which came less than 90 minutes after Chris and his wife Roberta arrived at the park, was made near to where Laundrie's skeletal remains were later found. Joyce said the idea that the police would allow Chris to go walking off by himself during such a high-stakes investigation is beyond me. If this was my case and I walked in there with the suspect's parents, I would never let them out of my sight, the veteran investigator said. Rule number 1 is that you do not let that person go until you know exactly what you're dealing with. Because we know that when bodies or articles of evidence are waiting there, usually when the person who put it down or is responsible for it being there or who knows it's there will find it when things aren't moving quickly enough, it's their way of accelerating the case. He continued, the whole thing is a mess, it's a sh***, though. The fact the parents found this article is so disturbing to me. Joyce, who said he worked on hundreds of homicide cases during his time in the NYPD, insisted that investigators shouldn't put the timing of the discovery down to coincidence. Cops had searched the park for more than a month without finding any concrete leads about Brian's whereabouts. Chris and Roberta, meanwhile, led the cops to their son's body in less than 2 hours. When asked how he would determine if the evidence had been planted, Joyce said investigators would need to look at the dry bag, examine what's inside of it, examine its contents, and examine the condition of it. Hogwash. The Laundrie family lawyer, Steve Bertolino, branded any suggestion Chris and Roberta planted any evidence as hogwash. Bertolino said, Chris didn't want to pick the bag up because he wanted law enforcement to see it. This was caught on camera. Chris couldn't find the law enforcement because they were then out of sight, because Chris had been in the woods, so he didn't want to leave the bag there with the news reporter standing nearby, so he picked it up. The 5-week search for Laundrie came to an end on Thursday when FBI investigators identified the skeletal remains as is by comparing dental records. Realistically, there are 3 things that could have happened, Joyce said. He could have died accidentally or by natural causes in the area, because he ran out of food and maybe he was attacked by an animal. He could have committed suicide, or even potentially been the victim of a homicide. But if the death was caused by toxic substance abuse or an injury at tissue level, such as a cut or even asphyxiation, Joyce said that will be much harder to detect. Considering the latest developments, the investigators have a lot of work still to do in this case, he said.